Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My apologies for not being able to join you in person. I'm grateful to the Dutch government for giving me the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you anyway. There was a time when such video messages were reserved exclusively for princes and ministers. Now they allow simple greengrocers like myself to make use of it as well. We are blasting through our planetary boundaries. Most significant are climate change, loss of biodiversity and dramatically disturbed nitrogen cycles in our soils. But we are not only confronted with a planetary overshoot. Growing populism is a clear sign that we are also beginning to feel the consequences of a social shortfall caused by a growing wealth gap. English economist Kate Raworth has compared our so-called free market economy with a cuckoo's young that parasitizes on people and the planet. She advocates an economy that stays within the boundaries of our ecological ceiling and our social foundations. The SDGs can guide us to achieve this. In his wedding cake model, Swedish scientist Johan Rockström allocated all planet-related SDGs to the first layer, all people-related SDGs to the middle layer, and all economic SDGs to the top layer of the cake. It reveals a logical sequence. The impact on our planet is defined by the way we structure our society, and the way we structure our society is defined by the way we define wealth or profit. As long as we say people, planet are important, but we also need to make a profit, then profit will always win and people and planet will lose. After all, you will always be cheaper and more competitive in the market if you pass on the costs of people and planet to future generations. If you look at it from a different angle, we seem to have lost the connection between profit and purpose. Nobody wakes up in the morning to say, okay, let's exploit some kids in the Far East and destroy biodiversity. Yet it is happening every day. As long as we do not address the perverse incentive that originates in this weird definition of profit, we will not solve the problem. The triple bottom line thinking, people, planet, profit, is definitely bankrupt. We have to talk about profit and profit only, but then let's calculate properly and start including the cost of natural and social capital from the very beginning. Some call this the threefold divide: the ecological divide that separates us from nature, the social divide that separates us from one another, and the spiritual divide that separates us from who we are, from ourselves. A new profit definition is being piloted in Bhutan. The Gross National Happiness Index that does not only include financial but also ecological, social and cultural wealth. And New Zealand is experimenting with a similar approach. But it is also piloted right under our nose, particularly in the UK and the Netherlands, where we are taking it from a slightly different but probably even more exciting angle. It is driven by our financial sector. Both Mark Carney as well as Klaas Knot, our central bank presidents, who also chair the Financial Stability Board, have started to implement social and ecological performance indicators in their financial risk models. Sustainability is being integrated in the RAROCs, in the risk-adjusted return on capital. To cut a long story short, dirty companies form more of an investment risk than cleaner companies. It will be more difficult for dirty companies to attract capital in the future. Bye-bye AAA rating Shell. Sustainability seems to be breaking out of its green bubble and to be trickling down into the DNA of our financial sector. Now please allow me to briefly introduce an example of how we implement this in our business practice of the food and agriculture market. We provide all our products with a label that carries the grower's face and that reveals the origin, because we know there is no sustainability without transparency. The label includes a QR code that consumers can scan with their smartphone, and then you get access to the grower's unique story and his impact on people and planet. We use 3 indicators for social and 4 for ecological impact. The indicators are obviously aligned with market standards, plus we have aligned them with the SDGs. We measure the impact together with stakeholders. We manage the incremental steps of development towards more sustainability. We also market the social and ecosystems contributions. Because as growers say, how can we be green if our figures are red? This, by the way, we consider the most challenging task of our sector, to reward our producers with a premium for their social and ecosystem services in an uneven playing field where competition gets away with a lower price as a result of passing on social and ecological costs to other generations. Some time ago we decided to add a fourth M. We decided to not only monitor, manage and market the social and ecological impact, but also to monetize it. We realize that you cannot monetize everything, but we've also realized that if we want to address the perverse incentive that lies in a devastating short-term profit definition, there was no way around monetization. In order to achieve this, we teamed up with various partners from the private and public sector to launch the pilot for true cost accounting in food, farming and finance. The objective was to develop one sustainability dashboard that could be used to share the true cost of food on a per hectare basis with farmers, on a per kilo basis with consumers, and on a corporate profit and loss account basis with financial institutions. In order to keep it simple and pragmatic, we selected 20% of all the performance indicators that define 80% of the impact: soil, water, climate, health and living wages. It was certainly not as advanced and impressive as the true cost accounting study that was pioneered by Patrick Holden and the Sustainable Food Trust team, but it was a start. I would like to finish this presentation with a few examples of how we communicated this in the market. Take soil fertility. You obviously can't monetize fertility, but you can monetize organic matter content in soils, which seems a good indicator for soil life. Based on FAO monetization models, the financial auditor EY has calculated that this organic avocado grower contributes €240 per hectare per year, whereas his conventional neighbour is losing soil organic matter at a rate of €1,160 per hectare per year. As a result of chemical fertilizer, he may have a slightly better yield, but it comes at the expense of soil depletion. This example confirms that organic is not too expensive, but conventional is too cheap, as long as we keep ignoring the cost of ecological damage. And we are not yet even talking about water holding capacity of good soils, or their mitigating effect on greenhouse gases, their ability to sequester carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, or their beneficial effect on pest and disease resistance of the crop. This is how we have visualized it for consumers. And this is how we have campaigned for it on the retail shelves. The soil is the limit, not the sky. Organic is a solution, and you, dear customer, can become a soilier by pulling out a pavement stone and starting a little guerrilla farm. A bit of compost and basil seeds are all you need, and we've provided it to you along with the tomatoes. Now, if you pull out this pavement stone, make sure you do this somewhere illegal, ideally whilst the police is trying to stop you, and then post the footage on YouTube, and then you can win a prize. In this campaign, we have teamed up with over 200 NGOs and many VIPs who have started these tiny guerrilla gardens. That has helped putting the soil issue on the radar. Here are a few more examples for water, for climate, and for health. For health, we have applied the DALI monetization model, the Disability Adjusted Life Years template, developed by the WHO. We applied it to chemical residue incident data recorded by EFSA, and then EY calculated that organic apples, for instance, are 19 cents per kilo healthier than conventional apples. That corresponds with 27 sick days per hectare per year. To cut a long story short, we have accumulated the monetization data for all our products throughout the entire supply chain, and consolidated this in a new profit and loss account, we may still be a long way from having figured it all out. However, one thing seems unavoidable. In tomorrow's economy, companies will be held accountable for their impact on natural and social capital. If not by their values, customers or stakeholders, then by capital providers and their risk managers. Thank you very much.